Hello everyone, I'm back to show you a new extension that I've made. It's the Random Spellbook Generator. Not to be confused with Rob's set of tables. This is an extension that will uh, just help you filter things out and kind of create a new item to give to the players. So, of course, for spells, you need to load up the module from your library, so library, modules, and then player's handbook is the main place to get all your spells from. Unless you have sources otherwise, you could always open those up too, I suppose. So we're all set. I'm going to go to items, and I've got a new button for spellbooks. And so I've got filters here. The number of spells I can set a static number, and it'll generate 20 every time for me. Or I could set it to like 1d8, and it'll generate up to 8 for me. You can set the level of the spells, like the max and the minimum level of the spells. So set it to 9, and then that way you can generate any level of spell. Casting time. So if we look at a spell, it's got a casting time. Different ones will have different different casting times. A lot of these look like they have one action. A lot of spells will only cost one action. This one takes 10 minutes to cast. It's not even a ritual. No, I suppose that would just be an out of combat. So you can create filters and just look for one action. So any spell in here is going to have one action now instead of anything else. Oops. So I'll get rid of that so we can work on the rest of them. Schools, you got your conjuration, so we could conjuration, and then it's only going to look for conjuration spells. Ranges. So this one says self 10-foot radius. So we could actually look for either one of those. We could look for self. We could look for 10-foot radius. And what do we get? We get a few things there. Anti-life shell, armor of Agathis, disguise self, false life, sunbeam. These all have self 30-foot radius. Self. Looks like it's just finding spells with self for the most part, or it's probably going to find itself here. But you could change that to 10 feet. I'll just if you leave it blank, it'll still work. It'll just ignore blank ones. But I like to delete them anyways. Durations. You can set like instantaneous. Yeah. Just made sure my keyboard didn't muck up on me. So these ones all have an instantaneous duration. Or I could change it to concentration. I feel like I should be singing these words. Oh, I forgot to click away. There we go. So now it looks for concentration spells. Components. Now, see how this one has verbal and somatic in it. If you want a spell that has that kind of a setup, then it has to, you have to have it in one filter. Because if I do verbal, somatic, and material, it's going to look for basically any spell. Verbal, somatic, verbal, somatic, material. Right, so if I want it to be verbal, somatic, and material, so it has to have all three, then I've got to have it all on one filter. Right? You could even look for ones that have like material cost stuff. Diamond, lowercase, because I don't think any of them are in capitals in there. I could always include it anyways, so I get either one. Right? So it all has diamond dust, diamond powder composed of diamond, stuff like that. So that way, if you've got a wizard that's taking up a lot of diamonds from a mine, you don't know why, well, maybe he's using it for spells, right? Descriptions. Now this is where things can kind of get fun. You could put in a type of damage like fire. Oops, it's going to be lowercase. Fire damage. It's going to find anything that has the mentioning of fire damage in its description. You could look for a specific die expression, 1d4. And it's going to find anything that has 1d4 written in it. You could look for anything that's going to have a saving throw. Right. If you know Lua patterns, you'd be able to utilize those in any kind of sense. Something useful would be match a. So this matches letters any number of times plus. No, we're gonna go with one or more times, and then I'm gonna put a space where I want a space, and say damage. So now it's going to look for any kind of damage. It has to say it deals, or it has to say this kind of damage. Something damage. Necrotic damage, fire damage, cold damage. That's what it's looking for right here. Not just the word damage. So if you know Lua patterns, or if you get to learn them, I've included a link in the reference library. so that you can kind of look at those and study those if you want to get to know them, and you can do some pretty cool things to find specific spells that you want. And then finally, you've got your sources, so you can put in wizard, which is typically what you're going to use for this, and you're just going to find any kind of wizard spells, which is a large large number of the spells anyway. But if you wanted, you could have wait sorcerer, cleric, right? And then finally, so you're able to enter a name of your spellbook. Let's go with the Unholy Tome. We're going to say this Unholy Tome has been lost for many centuries. Its writer was a madman. I suppose that's not very, let's do something a little bit crazier. There we go. Demiplane. Pretty crazy. Excuse me one sec. Finally, we'll just go ahead and generate a spellbook. So we've got our Unholy Tome from the name. It is a adventuring gear spellbook, and its cost is based on the spells that it has, the number of spells, the level of the spells, and then so is the weight. So the higher level of the spell, the more pages it takes, and the more complex it is, so the higher the cost. So we have the Unholy Tome is lost for many centuries, its writer was a madman. And then we have a list of our spells, which are all accessible, they're all linked to the database. So if you're going to share this with your players and they don't have the book loaded, you could always just make all the links shareable. And then that way they can go ahead and open those. Or you can lock them away, and they can just try to learn them as they go. Right, so you can create a bunch. If you don't have a name on there, then it's just going to give it a generic name. Description, it's just going to leave it blank if that's what you want, and then that way you just get your list of spells. Pretty cool, and then you can just pass it off to your player. They can put it in their inventory and take it out, look at it, read it, do whatever they want with it. Beat someone over the head with it if you want to make it a bludgeoning object. But that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, just come visit us in the Discord, and we'd be happy to help and take any kind of suggestions. Have a good day, guys.